What up? This is Rama Screen, and in the anticipation of Wildcat, which arrives in theaters April 23 and on demand and digital April 27, I'm here talking with the writer director of this new film, Jonathan Stokes. How are you, Jonathan?
I'm well. How about you, Rama?
I'm well as well. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your second or third feature directorial film after The Last Hurrah.
Yes, second one then. Yes.
Oh, okay, good, good. So it's been a while, a decade, if you will. So what made you decide that you wanted to come back behind the camera again, and why this particular story?
Sure. Well, I'm sort of a journeyman screenwriter in my career, hopping from studio to studio, a mercenary, working for whoever wants me. Um, but it's it's so satisfying when to get to make something that's actually your own. I've definitely had the experience of having other people screw up things I've written. And I thought, well, I could be that person screwing up things that I've written. So getting to make something yourself is super fun. I come from a theater background. Getting to just work with actors is such a tremendous pleasure. So I love writing. I always will, but getting to make something is just a tremendous treat.
One location stories are always fascinating. Of course, it works well for indie projects such as this. But talk to me about working with your crew to create this set. The rinky-dink bed, the dirty mattress, the walls that look like they've seen better days. Clearly, you wanted to make it look and feel as if it's a bunker somewhere in the Middle East. But what else went into the consideration of making that happen in terms of its design?
Yeah, our idea was that this is a sort of burned, bombed out school.
Hmm.
um, because the lead character has some trauma that happened back when she was in school, we thought it could be triggering for her in an interesting way if she's held hostage in the remains of a former school. Um, building the set was super fun. Um, Jenny Mahler, our production designer, did a tremendous job. And it's really fun with the technology nowadays that you can build the room virtually and look at it from every angle on a computer and make all the adjustments you need before you ever have to hire a carpenter.
Hmm.
Um, and then building it in one location, it made the shooting it just a real pleasure because we're in one room for the whole movie. We're in one soundstage in Burbank for the entire movie. Our hours are really predictable. We never have to worry about rain or snow. So it made for a relaxed shoot because there was no company moves. And it allowed the actors to shoot the whole movie chronologically, like a stage play. So the
Mhm.
actors are never confused about which script day they're on. Did I already say this or that? We're just moving chronologically. So I think it was really helpful to the entire crew.
How did you come to the casting of Georgina and Luke for these two lead roles? And talk to me about the process of shooting those physically grueling scenes with them. How, were they game for all of it?
These are great questions. Yes, casting Georgina, gosh, I was so picky. I mean, pickier than I had any right to be. Where before suggesting this actress, or it honestly got to a point where big agencies were like, please take this big actress that um, you have no right to direct based on your experience level. And I would say, no. Like, who am I, Steven Spielberg over here? I just kept rejecting actress after actress. And finally, one of my best friends saw a Black Mirror episode that Georgina was in and said, what about her? And as soon as I watched her, it just was within 5 seconds. That's the one. And it was the same way with Luke Benward, where the casting directors give you an entire Excel spreadsheet filled with little thumbnail headshots. And there's hundreds of them. I need a I need a white male. There's thousands of them that the casting directors will send you. And Luke he caught my eye out of all the hundreds. And I was like, that's the guy. And we still auditioned other people just to make sure I wasn't completely crazy. But Luke had all these bizarre. First of all, Luke's name was actually Luke, just like the character. And Luke, the actor, had blown out his ACL, recently, just like the character. And he was from the South, just like the character. There were all these strange parallels. It was like it was kismet. I guess, Rama, to the second part of your question about the horrible torture I put these actors through. Yes, we spent time before we ever set foot on set going through everything, and sort of mentally preparing these actors for what they're signing up for. That was one of the fun parts. Most fun parts of the process was pre-production. Georgina and I, in particular, spent days going over the script in minute detail through Zoom calls. She's in the UK,
Mhm.
and just going line by line, talking about her character and what to expect. And she actually ate that worm that her character eats on set. And a bunch of myself and the crew ate worms in solidarity. And somehow we made it all through this shoot together.
So, dialogue-driven movies are tricky because you have to be able to retain the audience's attention. And in this case, between the torture scenes, physical stuff, there's much conversation going on between Khadija and Luke. How did you strike that balance as you were writing the script? And what is it about these two characters that you wanted to get across to the audiences?
Yes, you're right. This is the biggest pitfall that could happen in a one-room movie is if it just becomes talking heads. So we worked really hard to hopefully make sure that there's enormous stakes to every scene,
Hmm.
hopefully. And in the writing of it, I really worked to make sure that every single scene could feel like an act break in that we could go to commercial, let's say. You know, we want every scene to end with dun dun dun. um, and I think that writing this was a great exercise because even when you're not writing one room movies, one should always have each scene end with a big reveal or huge new consequences. Um, and Adam Lee, our DP, who I think just did such wonderful job with the camera work, you know, while being trapped in one 16-foot by 16-foot room for 90 minutes.
Wow.
It forced him to be really creative with how are we going to cover this scene so it feels different from another scene? Or what color palette are we going to use in this scene so it feels like a new location or feels like we're in a new place? Um, and also, it was a big challenge for the composer as well of what can we do musically to make this scene feel completely different from another scene. Um, and so the law of creative limitation really ended up affecting, I think, every department head. Uh, Nick, as the composer, we did the entire score percussion only. There's no major minor tonality in the entire score until the last 30 seconds in the movie when the score finally turns major. We get the major third at the very end, but otherwise it's percussion the entire movie. Well, I mean that, you know, it really is a movie hopefully about resilience and about
Mhm.
never giving up. And that even when you're in a powerless situation, trapped but, you know, held hostage in a room, handcuffed to a bed, if you keep your wits about you and you never give up, you know, she is able to not only overcome her captors, take down this entire terrorist cell. Well, spoiler alert. Our hero doesn't die. How about that? Um, that she is able to completely control her situation and dominate everyone who dominated her throughout the entire movie just by resiliency and her arc from victim to victor. Hopefully there's something inspiring in that for the audience.
And finally, what does this movie say about or want to say about the US foreign policy? In other words, is Wildcat a criticism of the US foreign policy?
No, I'm not that deep a thinker. Um, it really was intended to be allegorical, and the location and the people who take her prisoner. I could have set this in America. I could have set this in South America. I could have set this anywhere. Um, it so happened to be in the Middle East because my my girlfriend at the time was worked in intelligence in the Middle East, and that kind of being inspired by her true to life character. Um, as a journalist who had a cover story, she well, she was in intelligence and had a cover story. Um, you know, that came from a very real, honest place, and so I could write that character more authentically if I set it in the Middle East. And also there's so many true life examples of, Amanda Lindhout, Lindsay Addario, who's from my hometown actually, of journalists who've been taken hostage in similar situations. So I just wanted to hopefully portray things as truthfully and faithfully and authentically as I could.
All right. For my fans at home, everybody go check out Wildcat, arriving in theaters April 23 and on demand and on digital April 27. Jonathan, thank you for talking to me and congratulations.
Thank you, Rama. This was fun.